The Hive palace shook with rage. Columns of black stone trembled as the alien queen's roar echoed through the cavernous throne chamber. Her wings, vast and jagged like obsidian blades, spread wide as she struck the ground with her clawed fists. "My sons," she thundered, her voice vibrating through the chitinous walls. "My heirs are gone." Courtiers and guards dropped to their knees, trembling. The princes of the Hive, 2 younglings barely past their hatching, were the queen's most guarded treasures. Their disappearance was unthinkable, a humiliation that threatened the very stability of the empire. "Find them," she commanded. "Scour every tunnel, every nest, every shadow. If they are not returned, heads will roll." The search began at once. Armored soldiers stormed through the Hive, interrogating workers and drones. Panic rippled through the palace. For the queen's wrath was legend, and the loss of her children meant doom for any who failed her. Hours passed. Then, word came. The princes had been found. But not where anyone expected. Deep in the outskirts of the Hive, in a quiet cavern reserved for maintenance crews, a strange scene awaited the soldiers. There, on the floor beside a humming generator, lay a human male, broad-shouldered, rough-clothed, his boots dusty with travel. He leaned against the wall, fast asleep, and on his chest, curled together like kittens, were the 2 alien princes. Their carapaces glistened faintly in the dim light, their mandibles twitching softly as they dreamed. One nestled against the human's neck, the other clutched his shirt in tiny clawed hands. The soldiers froze, staring in disbelief. The younglings were notorious for their restlessness, snapping, biting, and howling if separated from their queen. Yet here they were, dozing peacefully on the chest of a stranger. The human stirred at the noise, blinking groggily. "Huh? Oh, hey, careful. You'll wake, The soldiers leveled their spears instantly. "Release the royal heirs." He frowned, shifting carefully so as not to disturb the sleeping princes. "Relax. They found me, not the other way around." The news spread like wildfire. The queen herself stormed to the cavern, her massive frame barely fitting through the entrance. Her fury was so palpable that even the guards backed away. When her multifaceted eyes fell upon the sight, her children sleeping soundly on a human's chest, her roar rattled the chamber. "You dare," she bellowed, advancing. "You dare lay hands upon my sons?" The human held his ground. Slowly, gently, he adjusted one of the princes, so the child's mandibles would not dig into his collarbone. "Lady," he said carefully, "I didn't take them. They climbed on me. I didn't have the heart to shove them off." The queen's claws scraped the stone. "You expect me to believe." But her words faltered as one of the princes stirred. The youngling yawned, showing tiny sharp teeth, then buried himself deeper against the human's chest with a soft clicking purr. Silence fell. The court had never heard the royal heirs make such a sound. The queen's fury twisted into something far more dangerous: confusion. The human's name was Elias Grant. A hauler by trade, he had wandered too close to the Hive lands when his ship broke down. Captured by drones, he should have been executed or enslaved like other trespassers. Yet now he sat within the throne chamber itself, summoned by the queen, who could not reconcile what she had seen. "Explain yourself," she hissed, looming above him. "Why do my sons cling to you, as though you were kin?" Elias shifted uncomfortably under her gaze. "Kids like me, I guess. Always have. Back on Earth, I had a dozen nieces and nephews climbing me like a jungle gym. Your boys aren't so different." Her mandibles clicked in disbelief. "They are of the royal brood. They bite, they screech, they destroy anything within reach. Yet they lie still with you." Elias shrugged. Maybe they just needed a nap. Gasps rippled through the courtiers. To speak so casually before the queen was unthinkable. But the princes proved his words true. Even in the heart of the throne room, with the queen's rage saturating the air, they nestled calmly against Elias's side. The queen's multifaceted eyes narrowed. Something primal stirred within her. Her sons were the heart of her power, and yet, for the first time, they had found comfort in someone other than her. Days turned into weeks. At first, the queen kept Elias under strict guard, convinced he had bewitched her children. But no poison, no spell, no trick was ever found. Whenever the princes cried, no drone, no nursemaid, not even the queen herself could soothe them, until Elias arrived. He would scoop them up, hum softly in that strange human way, and within minutes they would be asleep. The hive was bewildered. The queen was furious. And yet, she could not deny results. Elias became an anomaly in the hive, a tolerated outsider. He repaired machinery, helped workers with heavy loads, and told stories that made even hardened drones pause to listen. The princes followed him constantly, chirping and clambering over his shoulders. The queen watched from her throne, torn between jealousy and reluctant admiration. She had ruled through fear her entire life. But this human, this fragile, flesh-skinned creature, ruled her children through gentleness. It unsettled her more than any enemy ever had. One evening, Elias found himself summoned to her private chamber. The queen loomed in the shadows, her spines glistening. "Why?" she demanded. "Why do they love you?" Elias rubbed the back of his neck. "I don't think it's about love or species. Kids know when someone's safe. I never hurt them. I listened. That's all." Her mandibles clicked. "You speak as if it were simple." "Maybe it is," he said. Then, after a pause, "Maybe you don't always need to roar to be heard." The chamber fell silent. No one had ever dared speak to her that way. Yet instead of striking him down, the queen felt an unfamiliar ache deep in her chest. Her sons were proof his way worked. Time passed, and the hive began to change. The princes grew, their temper softened by Elias's influence. They learned to laugh, to play, to listen. Workers no longer trembled at their presence. And the queen, though she would never admit it aloud, found her own roar softening when Elias was near. What began as suspicion shifted into respect, then into something deeper, an unspoken bond between monarch and outsider. She, who had once seen humans as pests, now saw something else, a species whose strength was not in claws or carapace, but in compassion. Years later, when the princes ascended as co-heirs, they carried not only their mother's legacy of power, but also Elias's legacy of kindness. The hive changed under their rule, blending strength with mercy. And though many tales would be told of their reign, none were more enduring than the one whispered in hushed awe across the galaxy. The alien queen had once roared in fury when her sons vanished. But they were found asleep, safe and content, on the chest of a human. And that single moment had changed the fate of an empire.